when the biggest thing that everyone is talking about is about the Larry OB logo on the court, then that just kind of tells you all you need to know about the game. All the stuff in the group chats, all the stuff on the timeline was all about the signage on the court, the virtual signage on the court, and not what was actually going on the court because it was status quo. It was business as usual. That's why the thumbnail on this is back to business because as much as game one gave us a lot of moments, excitement, it gave us stuff to get us through the weekend in terms of, hey, can the Pacers pull this off? Is OKC not ready? It gave us all these opportunities to just put storylines and various takes out there just to kind of get over to tonight, to get us to tonight. And tonight, OKC came out and they played with the same energy from game one. They gave the same effort from game one, yet they found a way to sustain it. Even when the Pacers kept trying to scratch and claw and keep things close and keep within striking distance, the Thunder still found a way to keep that margin long enough, big enough, wide enough so that the Pacers could not pull off yet another miracle and steal another game. What we saw tonight was what we were expecting in game one. What we saw tonight could be just the beginning of what we're going to see maybe over the next 3 games. The way that OKC looked tonight, you could almost lock in Thunder in 5 and feel content about it. Another rough night for Tyrese Haliburton. It wasn't necessarily the torture chamber, but it was something akin to that. Kason Wallace, Jalen Williams, even SGA a little bit, Caruso for sure. Everyone is taking turns making sure you close out on Tyrese Haliburton. Tyrese Haliburton, there's going to come a point, and let me be very clear, he is still the best point guard in the league. Argue with your mama, you could bring up all the undersized shooting guards you want. Best point guard in the game is still Tyrese Haliburton. The issue he's going to have, and this series might be exposing it, and maybe this is something that teams try to copycat in the future. He's going to have to develop that instinct of when to take over offensively. Right now, he's playing into a lot of the threes. He wants to get to that step back. Whether it's the side step, whether it's the reverse pivot, he wants to get to that three-pointer. And while that shit works when it's the Knicks, it may work when it's the Bucks, it may work when it's the Cavs, it's not working when it's the Thunder. He's going to have to be more aggressive about going to the rack. I know OKC has those bigs. They have Hartenstein, and they have Chet. And they played them both together tonight at times, and it was effective. So OKC went big a lot tonight, unlike how they did in game one, where they was making sure only one big was on the floor. OKC doubled down and had their bigs out there together. And you even saw some two-man game with the two of them at various points. So that's the adjustment. There wasn't a lot of schematic adjustments from what I was paying attention to, and I'm sure they'll have, people all over the internet trying to break down stuff and try to make videos on what adjustments were actually made. But in watching it in real time, I didn't notice any strategy that changed the difference. It was the same effort from game one. It was the same execution from game one. It just wasn't tricked off in the second half like it was in game one. Game one, it was a lot of mistakes in terms of forcing shots and assuming that you were going to get calls, assuming that the Pacers were just going to lay down and just take that L. Tonight, the Thunder took it to the Pacers from beginning to end. Even the few times when the Pacers had runs, OKC answered right back. They call that timeout. They catch their breath, they reset, and they come right back out and do another quick run. If you're going to talk about specifically a game of runs, I got some tweets here. Let's go ahead and jump into the screen. In the first half specifically, Thunder first half scoring runs, 11-0, 9-0, 10-0. and that led to the Pacers leading by as much as 18 in that first half. I think the lead ballooned as much as overall to 23 at its highest point. But you see right here, 11-0 run, a 9-0 run, a 10-0 run. That's what the Thunder were able to do tonight. Put the foot on their neck. That's what they did to the Pacers. They kept their foot on their neck, and they didn't let them up. They didn't let them breathe. They didn't let them wiggle out of it. They did that in game one. They kept giving the Pacers opportunity to keep chipping away. They did not let that happen tonight. And to just surmise how bad it was for Haliburton through 3 quarters, so heading into the fourth quarter, these were the players that had more points than Tyrese Haliburton, who had 5 points through 3 quarters. Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner, Aaron Nesmith, Andrew Nembhard, Benedict Mathurin, SGA, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, Chet Hive all day, you know it, Alex Caruso, Aaron Wiggins. We got an Aaron Wiggins game in the NBA Finals. As much as SGA did what he always is going to do, he's going to need help, right? He got the help from Chet in the first half. He got the help from Aaron Wiggins in the second and third quarter. He needed it, and he got it from Caruso as well, especially in that second half. Like, as much as SGA is going to do what he does, because he's an ISO player, he's a ball-dominant player. He had 8 dimes tonight, but he's an ISO-dominant player. He's going to get his. He's a walking 30-40 piece. That's what he's going to do, regardless of who your defenders are. But he's going to need other guys to step up and help with the load in terms of scoring. And tonight, heading over to the box real quick, we'll jump over here. Heading over to the box. He finished with 34. Jalen Williams with 19. So Jalen Williams does what he does. He's going to give you high teens, low to mid 20s, and he's going to stat stuff. 5 boards, 5 assists, get you a steal. That's what he does. Lou Dort had 5 threes in the first game. I told you it's probably very unlikely that Lou Dort would get 5 threes in another game for the rest of this series. He had 1 3 tonight. That was his only bucket of the game. But again, he's not there to score. Anytime he scores, that's the cherry on top. That's a bonus. So he had 5 threes in game 1, 1 3 tonight. You see your man's Chet, 9 in the first quarter, only 6 the rest of the way. But that 9 in the first quarter, you saw an aggressive Chet. You saw a focused Chet. And I'm telling you, Miles Turner, and we'll get there in regards to the Shams report leading in, I think it was the pregame, where they're talking about the Pacers are willing to go into the luxury tax to re-up on Miles Turner after what you saw tonight. And he may or may not have been checking the timeline, where I may or may not have been calling him out on the timeline on the Elon app. It took something. Something made him get re-energized, refocused, and play like how he's supposed to for 40 minutes in that third quarter. He did nothing else for the entirety of the game except for that third quarter. Third quarter, he was hyper engaged. But if the Pacers are going to go into the luxury tax for some Miles Turner, they might need to reassess what they're doing there. But Chet Holmgren went out and outplayed Miles Turner early and often, and it showed, and it helped the Thunder build that early lead and maintain that lead throughout the game. SGA, 11 of 21, again, efficient. He took the midi. In this era of three-pointers, in this era of everyone is shooting threes, in this era of my threes are more than your twos, SGA took 17 shots that were not three-pointers and walked away with 34 points, including 12 free throws. So this is what the changing of the guard, where Steph Curry, some believe he revolutionized basketball. Some, like myself, feel he ruined basketball, where everyone is hyper-focused on the three. Here you have SGA taking 21 shots, the majority of them middies. Let's see if we get that shot chart for SGA. Let's see if we can get that early and often here. Where's the shot chart? Here we go. Shot chart, SGA, take off the Pacers. Okay, look at all these middies, bro. Let me scroll up so y'all can see it. Matter of fact, let me switch to look up. That might be easier or not. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that is actually easier. Okay. This is all SGA shots, bro. Look at all this in the paint. All of this in the paint is what SGA was able to accomplish tonight. Getting to the rim, getting to the middies, getting to the restricted area. He's living in the paint. SGA is living in the paint. Elbow down. Elbow down. He's still going to take his threes. Only 1 of 5 or 1 of 4 tonight. But the majority of his work is in the middle of the floor, elbow down. And that's your MVP. In the era where threes reign supreme. In the era where if you can't make threes, you might not even make it in the league. Your newly crowned most valuable player is cooking in the NBA Finals by showing you the midi. There is still hope. I am very thankful for the fact that SGA could go out here and dominate a game from the high and mid post. Dominate a NBA Finals game with middies. This is anti-everything where the league has been copycatting and trying to find a way to copy and paste the Warriors thing from years ago. We have reached a point where one of the most unstoppable players in the game is killing you with middies. We are regressing back to the mean. Everything was hyper-focused on threes, hyper-centric on threes. We're regressing back to where just do what you do at a high level. If you're a post player and you could bang in the paint and get your buckets that way and you're elite at it, then keep doing it. You don't need to step out and knock down the corner three. You don't need to be Brook Lopez and shooting 35-foot three-pointers to extend your career. Just be dope, be dominant at what you were good at. SGA is showing us, or showed us tonight specifically, that you can dominate a NBA Finals game in the mid-range. You love to see it. Well, at least I know I do. Maybe some of y'all out there don't because you love threes because it makes you feel like you can compete and play in the NBA instead of this game being predominantly a game of giants. If you're going to focus on Haliburton and ignore this box score when it comes to Haliburton, because 17 points, 7 of 3, 7 of 13, made 3 threes, 3 of 8 from 3, 6 dimes, 5 turnovers, all the positive numbers, all of this was late in the fourth quarter when the game was well in hand. Like I showed you the stat earlier, he had 5 points through 3 quarters. So he gave you 12 points alone in that fourth quarter to pad these stats. But here's where the problem is going to be. 10 years from now, when people are going to be arguing the credentials of a Tyrese Haliburton, they're going to look back at this game and say, oh, well, he had a good game. He had 17 and 6. What do you mean? He shot 7 of 13 from the floor. Because, again, they're not watching the games. They're just reading the box score. We're witnessing this in real time. We know that this is a fraudulent 17 and 6. We know the most important number here is these 5 turnovers, and the bulk of that was when the game was within range. Haliburton's going to have to get aggressive and not just be aggressive with only taking 3-pointers. The fact that he has only taken, that he only took 5 shots that weren't threes tonight is a problem for me. Let's go to the Haliburton shot chart. Okay, so you see the Haliburton shot chart. These are way too many threes, bro. And again, I know you think you can make them all. But the Thunder has made it clear they're going to close out extremely aggressive on you for the entirety of this series, whether it's Lou Dort, whether it's Kason Wallace, whether it's even SGA, whether it's Caruso, even A. Wiggins got in there tonight and was closing out super aggressively. Tyrese Haliburton cannot keep taking these threes because these threes are rarely open. and he's working the pump fake. You see the thought process of, okay, you're closing out super hard. That means I got to go with the pump fake. And then he'll begin to penetrate to the middle. But then when someone else steps up aggressively, then he's looking to pass. And you can't do that. Because again, your assist can only benefit you and benefit your team when other guys are making shots. These other guys were not making shots. Mathurin was not making shots. Nembhard, outside of his effort, was not really making shots. Siakam was being aggressive and getting to the line and contributing that way, but a lot of these Pacers were not making shots. If the others' shots are not falling to help you continue to facilitate and do your thing, then that switch needs to go off in terms of, I need to get myself going in. I can't just keep facilitating. If the guys I'm facilitating to aren't making the shots or aren't taking the shots when it's there, then I need to adjust. And it's not like he hasn't done that before. He has done that before. But for whatever reason so far through 2 games in this series, he has yet to show me that adjustment. He made the shot that mattered in game 1. And that ultimately, if you're a Pacer fan or if you're the Pacers, you still feel good. Hey, we came to get a split. The aim is a split. I'm sure in the most utopian scenario, they might have felt, all right, we could go in there, sweep these guys, whatever. That's just having that confidence, right? But in actuality, in reality, they probably go, if we go in there and get a split, we feel good about that. And that's what they accomplished. So mission accomplished if you're the Pacers, despite losing by a wide margin tonight. The fact of the matter is you got game 1. You got the win that you needed in these first 2 games. Now you're taking it to the crib. But for Tyrese Haliburton to cook up the way that he cooked up against the Knicks, the way that he cooked up against the Bucks, against the Cavs earlier in these playoffs, he's going to have to realize they're closing out super aggressively every time. So you know what's going to have to happen? And I know he knows this because he's a professional player. But you're going to have to go to the rim and get hacked. You're going to have to go to the rim and draw that contact and make the refs blow their whistle. Siakam was forcing the action and getting to the line. Nembhard was forcing the action and getting to the line. Hell, even Miles Turner, the few times he decided to box out, was forcing the action and getting to the line. Haliburton's going to have to get into that bag. They can't outrun the Thunder. So they're going to have to find another way to be able to get easy points. And the easiest points outside of layups in transition is free throws. So you need to get to the line. Haliburton has not done a good job of that through the first 2 games, in my opinion, in terms of the aggression. No free throws tonight. Not one free throw for Tyrese Haliburton. Because, again, they blitz when he closes out, right? So he catches the ball at the top or on the move, and that's the thing. The Pacers are trying to get him open. They're moving around. He's coming off of flares and pin downs because Nembhard is now doing a lot of the primary ball handler responsibilities, right? So now they're trying to get Tyrese open off of other stuff, curls, flares, pin downs, all that type of stuff, any type of action to get him with the ball in his hands with space. And the Thunder is closing out aggressively. So you have the weapon of up fake, pump fake, jab step, all that stuff. And that's working because guys are closing out so hard that you can tell the strategy is closed out at the 3, run him off that line. They run him off that line. He gives you the up fake. Now he's penetrating. Now when that big or that wing steps up to cut your angle off to get to the rim, you either have 2 choices. Pass the rock or take it to the rack and live with whatever result you get. You may blow some bunnies. You may even get a couple of offensive fouls in terms of charging, but you also may draw fouls and get and ones or create opportunities at the rim for offensive rebounds for your other guys to go there and get it and help you. That's going to have to be a thing for Tyrese Haliburton as this series moves to Naptown, Indiana. Not one free throw for Tyrese Haliburton. Nembhard got 4 free throws. Mal Turner got 4 free throws. Siakam had 9 free throws. Even Mathurin, aggressive off the bench, 7 free throws. You have to attack OKC. You can't just assume because Hartenstein and Chet are down there that I can't go to the rack. The hell you mean? Go to the rack. If you get blocked, you get blocked. You know what would happen with AI when he would go to the rim? He would either get blocked, fouled, or catch an and one. You know what Derrick Rose would do? When he would go aggressively to the hole, he would get fouled, he would get blocked, or he would get an and one. It's going to happen. Hell, we see it with Ja. Like, you're going to take abuse, and Tyrese Haliburton has the advantage of he's a taller guard, so he's not the most biggest guy in terms of muscles or strength, but the fact that he's got some height means he can absorb some of that contact, probably more so than most point guards in this league today. But yet and still, he's looking to dish it out. And part of that is his nature as a point guard, but I also think another part of that is that he don't want that smoke in the paint. Ain't no way you're going to get to the line. He likes to complain about not getting fouls, but ain't no way you're going to get to the line if you're always passing every time you get to the middle of the paint. When you get into that restricted area, it's called restricted for a reason. You're either going to go in there and get hit, or you're going to go in there and force the action. Like, you got to go in there and do something. Right now, again, if you're the Pacers, you feel good. You got your split. But the performance tonight is more akin to what we were looking for coming into game one and what we saw for the most part of game one. So the fact that we're seeing they've played 8 quarters, and out of the 8 quarters, the Pacers have only looked good for, if you want to be generous, a quarter and a half out of 8 quarters. The other 6.5 quarters, the Thunder have been the better team and damn near the more dominant team. And this is kind of what we expected. But the Pacers winning game one made us have to look at this differently. Were the lights too bright? All that type of stuff where we had, the time off of 2 days to kind of reassess what the hell are we seeing now after that one game. But we look at what OKC was able to do. The fact that you got an Aaron Wiggins game, 6 of 11, 5 threes. So Lou Dort goes out there and knocks down 5 threes in game one. He only gets 1 3 in game two, but now you got Aaron Wiggins fresh off the bench with 4 threes. And then you got Alex Caruso knocking down 4 threes. It was so bad tonight that Jalen Williams, the other J-Dub, got some run tonight. You know it's bad when both Jalen Williams plays the game for OKC. You know it's bad. So, that's looking at the box score. As you see here, the Thunder bench standouts in game two. Caruso with 20, Wiggins with 18. Both players outscored every Pacers starter. Right. Tyrese Haliburton with those 12 points in the fourth quarter led the Pacers with 17 tonight. As you see here, Chet Holmgren in game one, 6 points, 2 of 9 from the floor, 0 for 1 from 3. Chet in the first quarter tonight, 9 points, 4 of 5 from the floor, and 1 for 1 from 3. It's going to be interesting to see what the reaction is going to be from the Pacers. You're going to have to spin this and say, hey, look, we went out there, we got outplayed tonight. They beat us they beat us with effort. That's the thing for me. After coming off of a series with the Knicks to where their whole bread and butter is, we're going to outwork you. And the Pacers found a way to beat a team whose sole purpose is to outwork you. I think it's because they had the best player on the floor at all times with Tyrese Haliburton. But yet and still, the objective of the Knicks is to beat you with their hard work and their effort. OKC is very similar in that respect. And then, oh, by the way, they have SGA. And then, oh, by the way, they have Chet. And then, oh, by the way, they have J-Dub. Like, it's a whole bunch of things of, we're going to outwork you with guys like Lou Dort. But then, oh, by the way, A. Wiggins, who had a 40-piece in the regular season, can come off the bench and knock down 5 threes. So Lou Dort, who's a defensive first player, can knock down 5 threes in game 1. And then we got a dude fresh off the pine in Aaron Wiggins who could walk into the court cold and knock down 5 threes as well in game 2. And that's why a lot of us were predicting OKC was going to walk through the Pacers in this NBA Finals. But game 1 and the fashion that it happened in made us have to at least briefly reassess if what we thought we were going to see, we were actually going to see. Here's that article or that note with Shams, and that the franchise determination is to enter the luxury tax for the first time in 20 years, just to re-sign Miles Turner. Here's Bobby Marks giving you some context. The Pacers are $17 million below the tax entering the offseason. Teams will pay a significantly lesser penalty starting next year if below $11.4 million or less. I know some of you don't care about the money of this stuff, but this is where your teams, the fans, the teams that you're a fan of, this is what actually matters in terms of roster construction. Yes, you could go out there and say, well, just go sign Kevin Durant, go trade for this guy, go draft, go trade everything and move up and go draft Cooper Flag. Like, all that stuff sounds cute on Sports Talk Radio. All that stuff sounds cute in your group chat. All that stuff sounds cute on a Discord. But this is where the actual decisions and the reasons for those actual decisions are made, is stuff like this. Under this CBA, the second apron is the new tax. Indiana has plenty of flexibility below. So, teams are no longer afraid of the first apron. It's that dreaded second apron that teams are now afraid of. This is the flexibility stuff that we've talked about, where every sport outside of baseball, even though baseball technically has a cap, but every sport claims to have a hard cap. Yet and still, we find ways every year that you could point to, examples you could point to every offseason of a team finding a way to circumvent the cap to sign whoever they want. And they find loopholes. I mean, it's literally a job in the organization, a capologist. That's literally your job. Find ways, find loopholes for us to exploit this cap. Read that CBA backwards and forwards and find me a loophole. The Pacers are now willing to go into the first apron to be able to re-sign Miles Turner. And for that effort tonight, and let's see if they can break this down by quarter. The Yahoo box score might not be as strong. Again, you look at this box score, and I tell you, Miles Turner had 16 points, 4 boards, and 4 assists tonight. Again, unfortunately, that's just who he is. You would expect more, especially if you're telling your fan base, hey, we're going to go into the first apron to bring this man back. And then that man was outplayed in the first half. Outplayed severely in the first half. Let's see if we can find Miles Turner's shot chart. Miles Turner's shot chart. I can tell you for a fact, the bulk of this. All right, let's see. Oh, yeah, good. Yahoo at least will give the quarter. Okay. Third quarter. First quarter. Third quarter. Second quarter. Fourth quarter. Third quarter. So we got one shot and I think a second shot. All right. So only 2 of these shots were in the first half. The ones that were not 3-pointers. How many 3-pointers were? Okay. Miles Turner took 3 shots in the first half. 3 shots in the first half. And he looked lethargic. I have been begging for him to at least attempt to box out. Aaron Wiggins got him on a big board tonight. Lou Dort got him on a board tonight. Like, he just doesn't. For someone who's considered to be a stretch five, he's living that moniker a little bit too much. He's buying into that narrative a little bit too much. Because stretch five kind of means you're a finesse five. And Miles Turner, while, he likes to play with Legos and all that type of shit, and he's a little bit eccentric, the fact of the matter is that you need to show some aggression, son. You need to show some aggression, son. And he had that poster dunk on Hartenstein in the second half, but to me, that was too little too late. If all you got for me is a quarter in a game where you could potentially go up 2-0, if the best you got for me is a quarter, Chet outplayed you off rip. Opening tip, first quarter, Chet decided you are food. Second quarter, Isaiah Hartenstein comes off the pine and he decides you are food. And any OKC Thunder knows they can attack the glass on you because you just decide to not box out. You just think being 6'11" is all you need to do to be able to grab boards. This man's been in the league for a decade. And he's in the NBA Finals for the first time in his career, and he is not boxing out Lou Dort. This man, they had all these profiles of him leading up to a lifelong pacer and all this stuff. He finally has made it to the finals, and he can't box out Aaron Wiggins. But yet the Pacers are going to go into the luxury tax for that? Shit. It's moves like that keeps franchises from taking the next step. The Pacers are in this position where they made it to the conference finals last year. They made it to the NBA Finals this year. They're likely to lose this NBA Finals. Now, what's the step they need to take to potentially get back here? The step for the Pacers to get back here next year is not re-signing Miles Turner. They have squeezed every bit of what they can out of that man's body. They have gotten all that they can. The man has been in trade rumors the last 5 years. Every year this man supposed to be a Laker at the trade deadline. Every single year this man's name is bantied about to be a Laker at the trade deadline. Let that man walk and finally go be a Laker. Because if this man can't box out Lou Dort, if this man can't box out Aaron Wiggins, then why are you telling Shams to go out there and tell the world that you're willing to go into the luxury tax for some damn Miles Turner? Why would you leak that to Shams? And then that man goes out and gets outplayed by Chet in the first quarter? He only took 3 shots in the whole first half? You have Shams coming on before the game, telling the world that the team believes in you so much that they're willing to go into the luxury tax to re-sign you. And you go out there and you let Chet light you up in the first quarter. And then you're non-existent in the second quarter, and you had to save yourself, whether he checked the timeline or not, because I wasn't the only one roasting him. He was getting roasted up and down the timeline for his first half performance. He probably checked the timeline, or someone probably told him, yo, you're getting cooked on the timeline, dogs. And then the third quarter, he finally plays like he gives a damn, but it was too little too late. Just like Haliburton played in the fourth quarter. Like he finally gave a damn and realized, well, maybe I should just be aggressive with my shot. No shit. Maybe you should. Maybe you should be aggressive with your shot. Maybe you shouldn't wait until the fourth quarter when your team is down 20 to be aggressive. It's a learning curve. The Pacers are not expected to win this series, but because of that game 1 victory, it put the thought of doubt into all of our heads that, hey, maybe this will be a series. Maybe this won't be a gentleman's sweep. Now, after tonight, we have to kind of go back to what we originally thought coming in is, Probably OKC in 5, Thunder in 5. If you want to be generous and say 6, maybe Pacers get 1 in Indy. But ultimately, after tonight, I don't think anyone that had trepidations about OKC after game 1 has those same trepidations tonight. I think we all have now come back to where we were heading into this finals. That, oh yeah, OKC's the better team. They're the deeper team. They're the more talented team. They should take care of business and get the Pacers up out of here in 5 games, 6 at the most. The Pacers are going to overpay to keep Miles Turner and had the largest, the biggest, the most popular NBA insider in the league drop that nugget, and he went out there and got cooked by Chet. He went out there and got cooked by Isaiah Hartenstein. He went out there and got outboarded by wing players. How many boards he finished with? 4 boards tonight. 4 boards for Miles Turner. That's fewer than Jalen Williams. That's fewer than Chet. That's fewer than SGA. That's fewer than Hartenstein. That's the same as Kenrick Williams, who played all of 7.5 minutes. I know it's not a sexy thing to talk about. No one is joining a live stream, and hit that like button if you're tapping in. No one's joining a live stream to hear someone talk about rebounds and boxing out. But again, if you're trying to pinpoint how this game turned on its heels and how the Pacers could not do what they did in game 1, it's because things like this kept getting exposed. Miles Turner is inept at boxing out. He's inept. Four rebounds in almost 30 minutes. And Kenrick Williams got 4 rebounds in 7.5. But yet they're going to go into the luxury tax. Okay, let's see what else we got. So we're going to take it back to Indiana now. And let's see what Indiana decides to do, or more importantly, what the Florida Network decides to do about virtual signage. This was what the timeline was abuzz about tonight. They were getting complaints that, there was no NBA Finals trophy, the Larry O.B. There was no Larry O.B. placard, decal, whatever on the court. The league, the network was getting roasted. So, I don't know who put the call in. I don't know if it was Adam Silver. I don't know who it was. Somebody put the call in, and now you have virtual Larry O.B.s popping up on the floor, and the internet was not a fan. Now, y'all ain't gonna fuck up my money if you know where I work, but I'll just say this was not well received on the timeline. SGA, 34, 8 assists, 5 boards, 4 steals. And again, Miles Turner has his dunk, so he has his moment. This was the third quarter after probably checking the timeline at halftime and realizing he was getting cooked. And then went out there and finally played like someone who the Pacers are willing to go into the luxury tax for. The problem was it was only for this one quarter. And this was the only moment. He caught a body, but unfortunately, he got outboarded, or he had the same amount of boards in 30 minutes damn near as Kenrick Williams did in 7.5. As this series moves to Indiana, did you know for $20 the Pacers will press NBA Finals logo patches onto fans' jerseys outside the team shop? So you can't get the decal of the Larry O.B. on the court. You have to do it virtually, but you can get literal patches sewn on of the Larry O.B. for a 20 spot. 20 spot, they got you. And again, more stuff about the court. The court, the court, the court. That's all anyone wanted to talk about on the timeline. It really didn't matter how much of a beatdown OKC gave the Pacers. People were locked in on the fact of, oh, hey, now they have actual Larry O'B's on the court. You know, someone made a good point on the Elon app where it's like, yo, they have all those city courts that teams paid millions of dollars for to have set up for only a handful of games every year. Going forward, should every team have a NBA Finals court in the tuck that already has the Larry O'B in whatever connotation, so you don't have to have virtual Larry O'B's popping up? Because the main thing was that there was no type of designation on the court in game one that lets you know, that gave you that feel that this is an NBA Finals game. There was not even the little NBA Finals in script deal that we knew from the 90s and whatnot. None of that was existing on the court. Now, tonight, they had the virtual Larry O'B. They had the virtual NBA Finals in script. I think they have that here as well. Let's see. Yeah, so now they had the virtual NBA Finals there. So you go from the virtual Larry O'B to the virtual NBA Finals in script. So all of that was happening. And then they went back to it like this is just treated like an ad. These virtual signage is usually shown for like advertisements. But I'm sure because of the clamor, because of the criticism, and because of, well, we can't paint the logo on there in the 2 days off, how else can we get the logo of the trophy or the NBA Finals logo onto the court? Or we could do it virtually. But how does it look? I mean, I'll let you be the judge. Again, you're not going to fuck my money up. All right, so let's see if we can find some post-game sound, if there is any. If we want to get into more SGA stuff, SGA now has 9 straight home games with 30 points. He probably has one more home game left. I think this is OKC in 5. I think they close it out at the crib. $38 points in game 1, 34 in game 2. And again, second straight game with not a lot of post-game sound on the timeline. Okay, that's a stat. SGA has scored 72 points through the first 2 games of the NBA Finals, the most points ever by a player in his first 2 career NBA Finals games. Look, and he's going to get that. He's going to keep getting 30 pieces this whole series. I can't see him, unless he has a really bad shooting night and he can't get to the line, which are 2 things that I don't see happening in one game at the same time. As long as SGA keeps getting to the middies, like Nembhard did a really good job of knowing how not to foul him. But none of that mattered tonight. Whether it was Nembhard, Mathurin, Neesmith, it didn't matter. It did not matter at all. Yeah, even here, the Athletic, there was no magical comeback, no last-second stunner by the opponent, just a more typical, complete, dominant effort from the Thunder. And I think you got a typical dominant effort from the Thunder in game 1. It only really lasted for 3 quarters, or maybe 3 1/4 quarters. Then over the last 9 minutes, they just tricked it off. What adjustments can the Pacers make? The adjustment the Thunder made was staggering the bigs. You saw Hartenstein and you saw Chet playing together. That was the adjustment. Is there an adjustment for the Pacers that they can make? Again, you're in a great spot because you split. But is there something? Rick Carlisle got a lot of props after game one, and I'm not trying to take props away from Rick Carlisle, but is there something Rick Carlisle can do to try to appease and get Tyrese Haliburton open? Nembhard was on the ball tonight. So Tyrese was off the ball a little bit more than usual tonight. That didn't work. Was that the adjustment? That small lineup that did so much in that late stages of the game in game one, you didn't really see a lot of that tonight. Is playing small ball. Because again, OKC countered with playing both their bigs and staggering them. Is the flip, is the switch, is the adjustment to go out there and play small ball. But if you're going to play small ball, your guys have to hit shots. And the Pacers collectively shot 45% from the floor. 35% from three, which is just under league average. Siakam was 3 of 11. Nesmith 5 of 12, although he was 4 of 8 from three. Like, you look at this shot, the shot distribution, right? If this was November, December, this is cool. Everyone's getting their shots, right? Siakam's getting some shots, Nesmith getting some shots, Turner, Hallie. Problem is, this is the NBA Finals. Somebody's got to be the lead dog. In game one, even though Haliburton hit the shot, Siakam, I believe, if I remember correctly, took the most shots in that game for the Pacers. Let's see. Scores. Yes, Siakam took 15 shots. Tonight, everyone was kind of hovering around 11, 12 shots. And again, this 13 shots from Haliburton is an admiration because coming into the fourth quarter, he only had 5 points. I don't know what the adjustment is. I can tell you that. I do not know what the adjustment is. It's going to be really interesting to see what the adjustment is, if there really is one. Because, again, if you're the Pacers, you're not as talented as OKC. You're not as deep as OKC. But you found a way in game one. So you have something that can work. I think it might be more of the small ball. But then if you're leaking to Shams to announce to the world that you're willing to go into the luxury tax to bring back Miles Turner, can your big adjustment heading into a big game three is to have that guy not play a lot of minutes because you're going small? After you leak to Shams that you're willing to go into a luxury tax for this player, can your adjustment right after that be, oh, that guy you're willing to go into the luxury tax for? Yeah, we're going to go small and not play him in the biggest game of the series. Pacers are going to be in a tough spot. Very, very tough spot. All right, we'll hit a couple more pages just to make sure we're not missing anything. Nothing there. Yeah, Aaron Wiggins, 18 points in 21 minutes. Insane, bro. Let's see. And then you had Siakam, who said after game one, yeah, we didn't even play well yet. He might as well say that again tonight because they did not play well tonight either. He might as well just go ahead and run that quote back. He shouldn't even have to go to the podium. Just send a note. What I said after game one applies to this game too. Let's see. NBA Central got anything? If not, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Yeah, see, literally everyone was going crazy tweeting about the goddamn virtual signage on the court. Let's see. There's got to be some sound somewhere. Who's got some sound? Okay. The league's official Twitter account. All right. They're just doing a lot of shill stuff. Okay. All right. We'll wrap this up. Ain't no reason to keep y'all. I will put this audio up for the podcast audience. If you want to listen in to the DCMD podcast, the link is in the live stream description. I do have some video essays coming up in the very near future. As soon as this NBA Finals wraps, we're going to go ahead and I got some things to talk about. What is a point guard? That video essay is coming. Heat culture is a myth. That video essay is coming. I have a whole whiteboard of topics that I've been waiting for the off season to get going to really take my time and walk those topics down and really give my effort. I don't want to rush those topics out just to keep up with the algorithm and keep up with just posting for the sake of posting. I really got some shit to say about both those things, and I think you should tap in. And by doing that, and if you want to do that, then you should subscribe to the channel. I will be here after Game 3. Wait, when is that? Is that Wednesday? Are they skipping 2 days again? When is Game 3? Yeah, Game 3 is Wednesday. Okay. So I will be here Wednesday night to recap that. Hopefully it's a good game at least, unlike tonight. But either way, I think we'll probably be looking at OKC being up 2-1. I think they have figured it out in terms of you need to have max effort the whole game. Max effort the whole game. That team in Indiana cannot be on the same floor with you. That's the messaging I think you have to put out there if you're OKC. When you put max effort, I mean, you damn near won 70 games this year. You damn near won 70 games. You're 18 games better than this team. They should not be on the floor with you. If you play like you're supposed to play for the entirety of the game, they cannot be on the floor with you. You will run them off that floor. I think that's the messaging, and I think that will continue once they get to the field house formerly known as Conseco. All right, we'll wrap it up there. I go by the name of the Sam D. This has been NBA Finals Game 2 live reaction. I will check you after Game 3. Peace.